So counselor competitions, a
Ugh,
staple of camp.
yeah,
Like,
maybe my favorite part of camp.
yeah,
No,
because
maybe.
well, that's hard. That's a loaded,
That's loaded.
like,
That was loaded. No, I make bold statements sometimes way before I'm ready to actually make them.
yeah. But counselor competitions, like they're scheduled, but they're not part of the day. So whenever there is one, it's like, ooh, this is going to be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I
And
love when you get like the schedule in the morning, and usually it will be like a maybe everyone meet here, and we don't know if that means it's a competition or not, but we know it's a competition.
right. But we do know that we're shaving 5 minutes off of all the activities.
Yes.
So we think perhaps it might be something. um, so I was thinking and trying to kind of determine what are the criteria that make for a great counselor competition? Because I think it's more than just personal preference. Like I think there are some elements
Yeah.
that go into it. So with all that in mind, what do you think? What are some of the things that make for a great counselor competition?
Well, I think one of the things that the kids like so much about it is that they're not they want to be a part of it, but they don't get to be a part of it.
Right.
And I love that perspective. And like sometimes they get to be a part of it, and then that's like extra exciting for them.
Yeah.
But but then also like the counselors are really excited to get to it's not always for it depends on the competition.
Yeah.
Actually.
True. Sometimes
Actually.
that's part of the fun. Yeah.
But the counselors like this is like something that they get to be a part of. And I think it's that unknown is a big part of it.
You get the piece of paper at the beginning of the day so you know something's going on, and then when it's like or I don't know if it's for me it was like oatmeal would more often than not happen up by the pool, like on the
Oh,
hill
you'd
near
have
the
like a
camp.
little idea, like, oh, we must be over here. Yeah.
Yeah, and like when you see that you're like, oh nice, like I think it's gonna be oatmeal. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
cool. It's like a touchstone of camp for that year.
Yeah, yeah. They would usually recently, and they didn't do it last year, but they would start off the competitions a lot with a at the theater, they would do a blindfolded musical chairs.
Ooh.
And yes, and it's so fun that game because you're blindfolded, you're watching you're watching people like look for the chair. No, like it's the fun. People are dangerous. They're like looking around, and the kids are going, "It's over there! It's over there!"
Were you at camp that year that Tom introduced that new counselor competition? Were you there that summer?
The one where we did it during the orientation.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, that
Okay.
was a fun one. That was cool. And then we actually got to do that one in front of the kids.
Yeah, he brought it and he was like, here's what ended up being a very cool competition. And I was, for me, so steadfast and like, I don't know what this is. So I'm like really not making any attempt to learn the rules. Real team player.
Hmm.
But we played it at orientation, and then we did it in front of the camp, like week 2 or 3. And it was kind of like the gears turning slowly. I was like, wait a second, we've done this before.
Yeah.
I get this.
It took us the second time to really
Yeah.
understand the game. That's what he started us off. What do you like about a competition?
So I think that at two sides of the same coin, I like, one where you can tell what's going on, like if it's like a
Yeah.
race of some sort, or if you can tell that it is so clearly rigged for one of the teams,
Yeah.
like
Also fun.
maybe one team hasn't been winning and all of a sudden they have one that's like right up their alley, or the
Yeah.
scoring looks a little bit different. That I love, because
I think, yeah.
it's clearly rigged, but they're like, no, they're doing it. And all the kids are like, oh, okay, I guess. Like,
7 CITs versus one of the biggest counselors at camp.
right. Yeah. Huh. Okay. So I think that's kind of what makes counselor competitions great, is they're not just straight competitions. Like there's something for everyone in them.
Yeah.
And I guess that probably extends, I would imagine, to now that the teams are all like heads, counselors, heads and assistants and CITs, like
I think that
everyone.
makes a big difference because I think it's makes it more competitive than it was before because counselors we win all the time.
Yeah,
Every time,
exactly. Yeah.
except for that one time, and then every other time we won.
Right. What else do you think makes for good criteria for a counselor competition?
Well, I know for me, I don't like to be so physical all the time. I'm not looking to run. I'm not looking to like fight. I'm so intensely competitive that like I can't help but like get like I don't want to put myself in a situation where I'm too competitive and I like throw something down. So like I have to be very careful about what I'm a part of. I show good spirit. I don't want to show how terrible of a loser I can be. Like my favorite moment as like an audience member is like it's the last round and you like look to one of your teammates and you're like, if they get this right, then it's red, but if they lose, then it's blue, and we need that.
Right. Yeah.
We still could get this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't do sports, so I don't really understand. So that this is the closest I understand to like what competitions are.
Yeah. Well, it's also nice when it's something that is prolonged enough that you can get the camp chanting for one of the teams. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just another example of like, if you think of sing being the glue of camp, I think, that's a true statement, given by Tom and is true. And I think counselor competitions are another thing, because anytime you can get the whole camp together, it helps to build everything.
And I would say also it's for the counselors, it's like the most fun part of it. It keeps them rocking.
Yep.
But kids too, obviously. I mean, it's so fun to watch people do silly things.
Yeah. I can't remember if kids, campers were allowed into competitions like when I was a camper. I want to say
like Oatmeal, right? Weren't they in Oatmeal?
Yeah, I can't remember exactly. Not. Yeah, I can't remember when it started, but like that is a huge deal.
Huge.
Let's go through our top 5 if you have them. Favorite counselor competitions, and I think that there's no right or wrong, but this is just food for thought. And this is unlike the last Ty Talk. This is not a prediction for what's going to happen, because I think most of these are pretty reliable. Like there's pretty reliable rotation of these, and then maybe there's a new one.
Maybe we'd like to see some come back, or some of these come back.
Oh yeah, I'll be curious to hear which ones aren't there. All right, give me your first one.
Okay, I love the food relay is one of my all times. I don't know if they have always been doing it, but I bet they were doing it, but it's like you're on teams and you're teamed up with usually like your kid or someone, like you're usually teamed up with a camper. I remember I did it once and with my niece Austin, and she was like my partner for it. And what you do is you have to you start off as a group. You have to do the grapefruit neck to neck. Then you have to pass, I guess, an egg, maybe.
Yes.
And then using elbows, and then it's like one by one. You have to do the dizzy bat. That's right. It was a dizzy bat.
Yep.
And then you run over and you have to squash a balloon with your bottom and then run back. Yeah. And then at the very end, one person puts whipped cream over everybody.
That's right.
Ridiculous. It's like who added the whipped cream part? That makes no sense in like the bit of it, but I love it.
Well, that's the one where Tom introduced the whipped cream and he had the target like 10 feet away. And he was like, then they'll shake up the whipped cream and spray it. And he's like, I saw the whipped cream going this far. And it's a thing of whipped cream. So it just, so I think that's where that started.
It's more reliable.
It was classic.
I love that. I love that one just because it brings in the other campers, and I think it's cool. I think it's a fun. They did one year. They included one year we had a they had a bounce house was there that day, and we
Oh,
included the bounce house as part of the route that you had to go in order to
ooh,
be a part to do the food relay.
love that. Just casual bounce house hanging out
Yeah.
at camp. Love it. Things
Yeah, that's the
change.
classic that I think of the most. I like it because it's so many steps and it's ridiculous for every single step for
Yes.
everyone watching and doing it.
Yes. All right. So mine, I don't know if they still do this one. And this is like, again, like our personalities are really coming out on these. So one of my favorites was just the straight up, just like swim relay.
Yeah.
just you know, it was probably probably 10 people on each team. Half started at the deep end, half started at the shallow end, and just a straight up race, just freestyle swim race. I loved it.
Yeah. And the way they do it now is they have the campers are on one side,
Oh,
are part of the competition, and then the heads are the counselors are all on the deeper end.
ooh.
The real trick is to order the campers right to make it work, and not everyone knows that. In fact, I shouldn't be telling
You
my
shouldn't be
secrets.
telling you.
I should not be telling my secrets.
We'll, we'll edit it out.
I'll edit that out. Yeah. Keep it.
Well, I also remember being on the pool staff. This is one that like Kelly was like absolutely consulted because Tom would be coming around being like, all right, we're going to do this competition. And she'd be like, nope, you cannot put this person in the competition. Like that's nope. You know, because so many of the counselors have come up through camp and Kelly, she
Not a
knows,
strong swimmer.
she knows what level they ended their Explorer year on. So she'll be, maybe there's a better counselor competition for this person.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I always loved it. It was straightforward and it really got the like competitive juices flowing. Your team was like totally in it, and it was very basic, but it was awesome. And then it was over. I loved it. It
like, goes so quick, that one. Yeah, it definitely goes so quick.
Yeah. Love it. All right. What do you got next?
Okay. I guess on the theme of water, mine is the boat relay.
Oh, love it.
The best.
Are you talking about in the river?
Well, I guess it could be. Yeah, I like it when usually it's done in the river. I've seen it done in the pool before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I've seen it done, and I've seen like a variation of it in the river before too.
Ooh.
Where they like would have people that were blocking people as well. Do you remember that?
Whoa. Oh, maybe I forgot that.
I have like this memory of, I think it was Joyce, and she would block everybody and fall into the water and just put like was like a titan.
I also had that down. I had it down as like canoe race. That is like coming back to me as we speak. But one of the things I really loved about that was that the whole camp would line the riverbank like on the other side of the fence. And it was just so cool. And I forget who I was talking to about this, but like it was totally okay in that moment to be like, oh, sure, we can all be on this side of the fence. No problem. Yeah. That's fine.
That's like the hardest part is getting all the campers into their space for it. But
do we still do that? Are they still?
Oh yeah.
I love
we
that.
We get to go through and be on the sides and watch it from afar. It's the best.
It's really cool because it's a totally different perspective. You're like not allowed to be there at any other point during the day. And you just, I don't know. I always love that.
We did a variation of it this year where it was timed. It was like it wasn't a race. It was timed.
Oh, like a time trial kind of like
one at it, like each group would go one at a time.
Oh.
And that was kind of cool. That was another fun way to do it.
Oh, I like
it. The way you expel the competition is like its own fun thing. You can make a lot of variations because of that.
Yeah. Oh, I like it. Okay. So any race in the river, we're both on.
Any race in the river works great.
Love it. Okay. I had that one. Okay. The next one. So I'm as I'm looking at these, all of mine have to do with water in some way, shape, or form. But my next one is oatmeal. And
to me, that's like getting to do the oatmeal is like such a badge of honor and such like a terrible experience, but also the most fun I've ever you ever have. Like, I love it.
It's awesome. And it's like there's so many people in it. I think that's one thing that's
Mhm.
overlooked is like the teams are pretty long and there's 3 teams or whatever. So it's like 30 people
Yeah.
and you've got like a metric ton of oatmeal in front of you. And
Sometimes
depending,
hot oatmeal.
yeah, so gross.
Sometimes hot oatmeal. Yeah.
Yeah. And
The
like
burning.
depending on who has made it, the consistency of it is like
You
soup
can tell. Yeah.
or like a little bit thicker. And it is just like a rite of passage to
Yeah.
do it.
And I love that there's no real technique for it. You're just like, you gotta just get the oatmeal over your head.
Yeah, like get it away from me. Here you go. And yeah, it's like whatever it is you're doing, it's like do it as fast as you can because I don't want this anymore.
And then we're on the hill also, which is one of the best parts. And so we're literally like leaning back and falling as we go along.
That's right.
It's so fun. And then the best part is everyone gets to like jump into the river afterwards, which is disgusting. But
no, that was one of the things I put on there, like another rite of passage. It's like, all right, we have to go clean up. And then we jump into the river, which is an interesting way dealing with that. But it's so like that whole oatmeal to the rundown to jump in the river. It, like I consider that like the rite of passage. Like
that to me is like it's like Nickelodeon. It's everything I want from a camp competition. It's like gross, and the kids are like they're like, oh, I can't believe they have like oatmeal all over them.
Yep. And then
no one can tell who's winning by any means.
No, it like when they show who won, everyone's like, huh, okay, like had no idea.
It's a shock to you doing it. You're like, are you serious? We put so much oatmeal out there. Yep. How could there only be this much?
That's the thing too. There's always one team that has almost nothing in the bucket at the end. Yes. They've been working so hard and there's no oatmeal to show whatsoever.
Yeah. Oatmeal has been gone for the last bit. I would love to see it again secretly.
Wow. Oh,
yeah. I think it's just like it's bad for the grass. It's bad, it's messy.
Yeah.
I get it, but like also to me that's like the most campy competition out there. Okay, this one's a little controversial. And probably I'm the only one who enjoys it, but
love it.
I love the trivia. I love a trivia. And I love it when there's like a trivia or like a rainy day competition that like is like smaller and like quieter.
Sure.
They did like a name that tune this year, and they had John Sig do only like his taste in music, and it was all like Gen X, like Gen Z, like unable to know who Nirvana was, and it was
amazing.
the funniest bit in the world. And then I also love it when they do like the marriage game where like they did one with the Katie off or like the Pansiakos girls. They all did one where they would have to do they would have to say, what does this sister think what's her favorite food? And then if they got it right, then if they got a match, then it matched. I think those are really fun. I love a trivia.
So hard agree. And I wanted to talk about this later. Was that like a counselor competition proper? Did that count for red, white, blue?
That was a red, white, and blue one. Pansiakos. But and I remember we tried a trivia in one time, and everyone was like, this is not working.
It was at the theater, right?
Yeah.
And it failed like miserably.
I
don't know why. I can't remember it. All I can remember is sitting at the theater and I was like, when is this going to end? Like, this is terrible.
Yeah, I loved it. I swear.
I can't even remember what the questions were or why there was such a visceral, like, this isn't working, but
because it was like very like school related. I think maybe if they make it like camp related or like not like, if they make them like not like algebra questions.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You have a piece of graph paper and 35 seconds. Yeah.
They do a math off every so often. And that's,
oh my God.
It's kind of fun. They'll do that at Sing.
That's great. All right. So I have my number one, and it's the battle royale.
Yeah.
It just is. That is so cool because it's almost like they invented a sport. Like it's water polo, but a little more violent, and like
it's very violent.
There are no rules, and it's assumed that like, oh, some of the bigger guys are like gonna probably try to drown you a little, and that's fine. And it like it is so fun, and it's so hard to score.
And it's such a hard thing. It's a game for at this point, it's a game for the young. It's not. It's something I dread, like coming into it. It's something like I know that I have to be a part of, and of course I want my team to win, but like it's a game for the young. I'm winded by like minute 1 and like unable to participate anymore. It's also a game for the tall. I think that's the other side of it. Yeah. The tall people are like what's most important. Put them in the shallow end, and they'll never get the score, and that's it.
But when you score, or when you make like a save on it, it is like the highest high you can have, and like your whole team is like, like it is as close to an organized sport at camp as you get. Like that.
Well, like, I love that it's like it's the culmination of all the events. Even if you were dominating the entire time, it's just to get to this event. Yeah. And that's who wins that's what's so yes. What? So maybe that's new. Maybe that's different, but so you could have 17 be the number 1 every single time. And then the only thing you get from that is that you get to pick who gets to go in first. So the leading team will get to, usually they'll go, they would never go twice. So they would pick who would, the other 2 teams would have to go head to head to see who they would battle the final team.
Okay. So it's like two games.
The ones who's ahead gets to, Okay. So some people have to do it 2 times in a row, and rough.
It's really rough. Yeah, and then whoever wins the battle royale wins the competition for the year.
Yeah. We were ahead the entire time last year. We were, this, I guess this was on us. I mean, we might have had like one too many celebrations the night before, and we just were not available to win that game that year. You're not available to win that game, not that year.
So do they still do it where you have to have a kickboard except for like a couple of people? No kickboards. No kickboards. Okay.
No kickboard, I'm sure, would be used violently, I would imagine.
Well, the rule, I mean, yes, and the rule was that you had to have your kickboard in your hand. So it did kind of help to, like, you couldn't use 2 hands to put someone under the water, for example.
Okay, so it's easier to put 2 hands under people in the water.
So it was like if you were like the captain or something like that, there were like only a couple of people who didn't have a kickboard per team. So I guess it could go either way, as being more or less.
What is your battle royale technique? Like, how do you do well in it?
I do remember, like, you quite literally get thrown into the deep end of like, good luck, like try to survive. I would just try to follow the ball, right? Like I was looking for glory, and the last year or 2, I would say I didn't have a kickboard. So I was able to like, freely swim and roam, but like, I've got John Rice trying to dunk me. You got all these big assistants right after you. And that's, I would try to be around the ball as much as I could, and talk to my team.
What we had this year was a penalty box.
What?
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a penalty box. Sam had to pull people out a couple of times because it's like, there's something, and I think the campers are aware of this too, but there's like a feral energy where like you really get to like all bets are off. Like your kindest counselor is suddenly dunking your favorite counselor, and it's and you've never seen
camp spirit. No, this is war.
Yeah, the kids are like, we want blood.
Where's the penalty box? Is it in the little
It was
pool?
just on the side. Yeah. Oh, it should be in the little pool. That would be fun.
Maybe next year. And you have to like swim a couple of laps and then you can go back in. That is that's awesome. I love it. No, it was so cool. And it's like the second to last day of camp or maybe the last day. I can't remember.
Second to last.
And it's just fun. And I don't know. I think it really does pull your team together too. It's like we've been through a battle together.
Yeah. And you get so emotional, like direct, because you're like so physically exerted as you're doing it that by the end, and if you lose, you're just like, did we lose?
Yeah.
I get emotional about it. Like,
yeah. And there is, even though it is, favors the more, like athletic type counselors.
Oh, you got to be scrappy.
Yeah. There is a role for everyone on that.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know. I just loved it. It really was like, this is your team. We're in this together. I'm happy everyone made it out alive.
Yeah.
And that's about it. Like it.
Like we it's such like a loving camp until like that moment, and and everyone just understands.
Yes. Yeah. There are no friends here.
This is the Hunger Games, and
do eating competitions are those counselor competitions?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So it is confusing because they count as a point for red, white, and blue, but then the winner of the eating competition gets to go into a final battle a final eat off.
Oh,
usually just against Billy.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's cool.
So if you do a good job in an eating competition, you might have to do another eating competition.
What a reward. What are some of the things we're eating these days?
Scrambled eggs, pasta. They did a scrambled eggs one time, and I was like, no. Bonnie did the greatest eating job of spaghetti of spaghetti. And I thought she was going to like dethrone Billy for a moment, but
whoa.
Yeah, because she was so good. But I think last year, they combined eggs and cottage cheese and pasta. It was like the worst situation in the world.
Oh my gosh. And as like a CIT or an assistant, you're like, well, I have to eat this because I want to come back, but I don't want to vomit in front of the camp. I did an
eating competition. I won an ice cream eating competition.
Ooh.
And I think then I had to do, I think maybe it was just, I don't know what I thought it was like spaghetti or something. I don't like to do gross foods though, by any means.
Are they still doing
cottage cheese?
Are they still doing watermelon?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. Beaver tails.
I like to remind Billy that I was the watermelon champ before he came along.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah. And then we talked about with Kelly. Oh, then they were like, here, try this cottage cheese. And I was like, what? No, thank you. They used to do, and Kelly mentioned it too. Chubby Bunny used to be a counselor competition. And that was
with Jell-O.
Yeah. Jell-O, like put your face in this bin of Jell-O that everyone else has put their face
they
in.
used to do one competition that was fun. It was a burping competition where they would give everyone soda and then they would go into a microphone and it was a burp off.
That's great.
Yes.
What kid doesn't love that?
Yeah. And I think they even used to let kids come in and the kids would be like, I'm not allowed soda, but okay.
If you win an eating competition, and is there a prize at the end? Is there a trophy? Is it that
there's a trophy? Yeah, there's a trophy that Billy holds, and he also has a belt as well.
Oh,
like a belt. And usually, what he'll do is he'll make an entrance from like the pool, and he'll like have like the Rocky theme music, and he'll come out, and he's like, and this is who they have to fight against. And I think even last year he didn't do any eating competitions. Leading up to it, he was just the final boss you had to get through.
So Battle Royale is always second to last day of camp. Is there, like, to start the competitions, the first week of camp, say it's like Wednesday or Thursday, maybe? Mm-hmm. Do you like to start with like an old reliable? And is that the food relay, or are you happy when it's like something brand new to kick off the counselor.
I like it when it's brand new. Because again, I think it's like for us, this is the only part of the day that we have no idea what could happen. It's like really like when we get to be like campers,
right?
As counselors. And so I do like it when it's I think they started with musical chairs for the first couple of years that I came back. And I thought that's a really good way to start off, because you know that the kids are going to love it. You know, it's going to like get a lot of people going. And it's a fun thing to watch people blindfoldedly look for a chair that I don't know if I mentioned this, but the people were they would move the chairs around. You didn't know where your chair was. I don't know if I explained that part. Yeah. So Kelly, unblindfolded, would move the chairs all over the place, and you would just go around like searching for it.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. This year I got to be in the rhythmic gymnastics competition, and that was like the moment where I was like, oh, they made a competition just for me. I was just like so proud to be a part of that. I was like, oh, I can win this.
Absolutely. And did you? I'm assuming you did.
Very much so. I dominated that year.
Of course you did. Of course you did. That's great. Like that falls under the like, oh, this was made for Ty. Like we're gonna go ahead and assume a point goes to Ty's team on this one.
Yeah, I love that. Although I thought Fink could have gotten it. Who knows?
We'll see. Maybe a rematch this year. All right. So we've got our top 5. We've got food relay, something in the river, canoe race or whatever that may be, swim relay, oatmeal, battle royale, musical chairs, trivia, and then
trivia in there.
and then the eating competitions also. So I don't know. I'm excited. I continue to be excited about this year.
And I love you know what the best part is Tom or Sam hosting the competition event. Like they're like, that's the best bit, is like that they're so good at like being like getting everyone revved up about to do it. Like, yep. I love that about them.
Tom hosting that for one of the best things the last few years we were there, where he'd, say the rules and then we get ready for the countdown, and he had the megaphone and he'd be like, all right, camp, and he'd put his hand out and he'd be like, in 5. And then he'd just stop counting and just like let the camp take over and count down to 1. And it was just, I don't know why we thought it was so funny, but we did. It was like, Tom's done. He's like, I'll give you 5 and that's it. The whole camp is going nuts. Oh, I forgot about that. Oh, so great.